Hello, students. In this session, we are going to continue with the other types of pollutions. And here we're going to talk about water pollution. So what is water pollution and what are the major sources for water pollution that we are seeing in India, along with, of course, other countries? And what is the impact of water pollution? So by definition, as we have seen with the air pollution, so water pollution is where water that we are looking at carries several harmful substances, like it could be chemicals, sewage, or silt, silt referring to the clay that normally gets into the water, or even microorganisms. So what are we talking about here? Water pollution refers to the water bodies containing various substances like chemicals, sewage, clay or silt, and microorganisms, so which contaminate various types of water sources. It could be streams, rivers, lake, oceans, etc. Okay, so what happens when these substances get into the water? Definitely, they degrade the quality of water. For example, they can change the smell of the water, they can change the appearance of the water, like color of the water, and thereby making it toxic to humans and unfit for consumption. So this water pollution, these pollutants would change the properties of water, especially the appearance, its taste, its smell, thereby basically indicating that they are not fit for usage. And another big issue with water is considered to be universal solvent. So meaning it is able to dissolve more or less everything. Of course, there are exceptions that water cannot dissolve, like some hydrophobic substances, but otherwise water can dissolve many things. That is what makes water more vulnerable to dissolve these pollutants. Okay, so briefly, this is what we mean when we say water pollution or water bodies got polluted. But what is the source for this? Where are these pollutants coming from? Briefly, if you look at, before getting into the details, water pollution is caused because of increased population of humans. So because of the increase in our population, there's increased activities. I'm going to talk about several such examples next. Like we see industrialization. More and more industries are being added in order to provide employment to people living here, and also in order to bring in the products that are required for our survival. Correct? Along with that, people start moving to the cities from country area or from villages. So urbanization we normally call. So all these aspects are increasing the human activities, and which is leading to increased pollution. And if you observe in last few decades, definitely the water pollution has increased drastically. For example, so with increased human population, as I said, human activities would increase, right? With increased industrial placement, we start noticing that the effluents coming from the industries are getting into the water bodies. Because in general, it is assumed that it is expensive to actually have a separate mechanism to purify the water coming from the used water. It could be running the boilers, for example, or it could be water used in preparing some chemicals which are mixed with some solvents which are used in industries frequently. So that water is left out because otherwise it would cost so much for the industries. So the water gets into the streams. And urbanization, so because of the overcrowdedness in the cities, sewage had become a big problem. Where does the sewage go? What needs to be done? In many places, we'll see whether it is big cities like Hyderabad, for example, or cities in Andhra Pradesh. We'll talk about one or two instances where the sewage has been left out into the lakes and rivers. Hussain Sagar is a good example in Hyderabad. If you go to Hussain Sagar, it's very difficult to stand without holding your nose closed. Why? Because of the sewage water seeping into these type of lakes. So sewage water is a result of urbanization and chemicals, like household chemicals. A lot of cleaning has to be done to maintain homes, right? And these chemicals, where do they go? They get into the sewage and they finally get into the water bodies. Similarly, waste. Where do we dump the waste? The waste, easy way to throw the waste is finding a nala and throwing into that. So what happens? Because of that, the waste is getting collected in this nalas, and nalas are finally ending up in the in the lakes and rivers. So this waste is also a result of urbanization that we see, right? And also it becomes much easier and becomes convenient for people to throw this garbage into nalas, for example, so it gets accumulated. Not only that, when flooding happens, this type of waste gets accumulated, especially plastic waste, for example, gets accumulated in these regions and basically close the drainages. So what happens because of that? Flooding is also taking place. And in addition to these components, we also notice some unhealthy agricultural practices is also leading to this problem. So in agriculture, I think since Green Revolution, we have noticed that we kept using more and more chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides. And what do? We actually use much more than what the crops require. And most of it, it is being explained that they end up being unuseful, meaning you add a lot of fertilizer. This fertilizer becomes, precipitated in the soil. Where does it go? It slowly seeps into the groundwater. And then eventually this runoff, either rain carrying that or excess water that is going through the agricultural fields, carrying all these harmful chemicals. Similarly, mining industry. I think because to satisfy our requirements, extracting more and more minerals require this mining process, right? So, but mining industry also releases lot of pollutants into the water bodies. Like for example, acids like H2SO4, because many minerals come in the form of sulfates. And when sulfates join with water, what happens? They become H2SO4, which is a very strong acid. This acid gets into the water and changing the pH of the water. Thereby, what happens? That water becomes unsuitable for living systems. Similarly, from mining industry, heavy metals leach into the water, and also sedimentation. Lot of sediment, the clay or the other material like this gets into the water bodies and makes it, the appearance wise and taste wise makes it unsuitable for our use. Similarly, power generation, like of course, coal mining, extracting coal for energy industry is causing such problems. Also, nuclear power stations. What do? Nuclear power stations actually produce enough amount of heat. Heat can be released into the surrounding water bodies, increasing the average temperatures of the lakes, average temperatures of the rivers, and also radioactive materials are contaminating these water bodies. So we notice that these are some of the sources for water pollution. Now let's look into specific examples under each of this. I've briefly talked about them. Under some categories like this, we'll talk about some specific examples. So those that actually cause more health issues, I'm going to point on health problems in the next part. But for now, we'll talk about uh, the agents that cause water pollution, okay, which come under health related issues. Excuse me, like infectious agents, like bacteria, virus, parasites. Some of the infections that we spread or we see around is spreading from contaminated water. So here, most of the times, human or animal excretions get into the water carrying these pathogens. And when people actually consume that water, this bacteria or virus enters into the body causing those symptoms, thereby spreading the problem. Like for example, cholera is a very well-known problem, as well as amoebiasis is a well-known problem. Typhoid transmits through contaminated water. Some forms of hepatitis also do this. So like that, many infectious agents are getting into our bodies through contaminated water. Similarly, organic chemicals. Organic chemicals, for example, those that are normally used in the agriculture, like pesticides, fertilizers. Okay, so even plastics are common nowadays. Industrial usage, household usage of plastic has increased greatly. Detergent usage has increased greatly, and oil, gasoline, etc. also their need have increased with increase in population. So these organic chemicals, where are they going? So from these industries, households, and even from agricultural areas, they're ending up in water bodies. Similarly, inorganic chemicals, those that are not organic, those that are not made up of hydrocarbons, for example, like metals, iron, silver, and mercury. So these type of metals and even salts, which are released from either industries are released from the household cleaning agents. Okay, and also surface runoff, floods or other things that actually carry these chemicals into the water bodies. Similarly, I think we just talked about in case of the nuclear power plants, radioactive materials are being released. Not only nuclear power plants, but to begin with, even naturally, we have these radioactive substances. Some of these, if not all of them, are part of Earth. So what happens? Of course, they can get into water. There are places where uranium contaminated some water bodies. Some recent studies have pointed out that uranium can be found in the at the toxic levels, at the level that is toxic to our bodies in some water sources. Similarly, thorium, cesium, iodine, radon, etc., which found a lot of industrial applications are also ending up in the water bodies. Okay, so nuclear power plants and as well as natural sources, mining process, and weapons, even weapon production that we use a lot of metals, we use a lot of radioactive materials for nuclear weapons. So they're also causing water pollution. Similarly, if you look into those substances or pollutants that cause or affect the ecosystems, like sediment, sediments which carry soil or which carry clay like silt, so tiny, tiny particles of the material that are clay that we're talking about here when we say silt. So it is coming because of land erosion. So deforestation is one main reason here. Because of deforestation, land erosion has increased, and this is bringing a lot of soil and silt into the water. And then plant nutrients. We already kind of talked about agricultural and activities, and even sewage and manure brings a lot of nitrates and phosphates. Later we'll see that. So this causes a lot of problem to the environment. I'll explain this as part of the eutrophication. And then oxygen demanding waste. We'll also briefly talk about that. Animal manure and also plant residues, either coming through sewage or agricultural runoff, or even paper industries and food industries. They actually are getting into the water bodies and depleting the oxygen levels. I'll again explain this in a few minutes. And then thermal. So we say that thermal pollution, sometimes we hear the word thermal pollution meaning heat polluting it. How does heat pollute something? Let's say that you actually using water to cool down some plants. Chemical industries normally use them. And what happens is water, even radioactive power plants, nuclear power plants, when water is used to cool them down, this water carries a lot of heat and goes into the water bodies. Then average temperature goes above what normally that given lake or pond or a river can handle it. Thereby what happens, average heat goes up, affecting the livelihood of the microorganisms or other aquatic forms of life living there. Correct? Okay. So this is briefly the examples of various components that found in the water bodies or various water pollutants we talked about. Now let's have a look at the impact of the water pollution. How is this impacted? I kind of briefly told you some of these, but let's expand more on this. So as we learned that pollution makes water not suitable for drinking. So with the ever increasing population and ever decreasing resources like water, and even those water bodies that are present, they're contaminated. So it is very difficult to find water that is suitable for drinking. And nowadays we actually rely on RO water filters, reverse osmosis water filters, where we have to purify the water in order to consume it, adding more cost at every household. Correct? And next, health effects. So we notice that many agents that I've mentioned to you, either bacteria, virus, okay, different types of them bring in or come in the form of water, contaminated water, and enter into our body, causing various infections I was mentioning to you, like cholera, typhoid, some forms of hepatitis, amoebiosis, etc., rotaviral infections. So this is a very common theme in developing country like India. In addition to the infectious agents, even chemical pollutants. So what type of chemical pollutants? Like heavy metals, lead for example, arsenic for example, so mercury for example. So this is nowadays found in the water. Why? Maybe various instruments or mechanical parts are thrown into that, or industrial effluents getting into the water. When we are exposed to too much of these chemicals, what happens? It is ending up showing cancers. Cancer rate has drastically increased in India. One of the reason is the chemical pollution in water. Next, hormone disruptions. So what happens? Some of these elements, like some of these metals, would disturb or interfere the normal functioning of our body. So because of that, what happens? Your hormonal disturbance in your hormonal levels happen, thereby causing a lot of problems like thyroid problems, infertility issues in some people. Okay, even altering the brain function is seen because of the chemical pollutants found in the water bodies. Right? So similarly, impacts on environment. What type of impact does this have on environment? Like same chemicals and heavy metals that come from industries and municipal wastewater, they're toxic to not only us, to the life that is happening in the water bodies, which is referred to as aquatic life. So most often what happens because of the increased levels of these metals affects their lifespan. It reduces their lifespan and even it affects their ability to reproduce, thereby reducing their populations and leading to the extinction of some of these species which are sensitive to these small amounts of chemicals and reducing biodiversity. Similarly, so what do we notice that the food chain gets contaminated because of the chemicals. Like for example, people who fish in the polluted waters, out of choice, sometimes you notice around water bodies close to us are more or less polluted. So they fish in there. And the fish may contain excess amounts of these elements in them, these chemicals in them, which we may consume. Similarly, the use of wastewater for livestock farming and agriculture. In absence of good resources, and I have seen in many areas, if there is a stream in which industrial pollutants are frequently released, that is diverted into agricultural use because it's cheap and economic and that is the only source available there. What happens? The rice you grow there, the wheat you grow there is consumed by humans. Those toxins enter into our foods either directly like this or by eating fishes. So in the ecosystem, slowly they get accumulated. You probably heard the concept called biomagnification. So slowly all those small amounts of that end up into our bodies. Eventually, as we see the higher up in the ecosystem, the food chain, the concentration gets magnified. So either it is called biomagnification. Okay, and this biomagnification is also causing a lot of problems and increasing the level of not only effects on these living systems, these other organisms, but also on humans. So something that is of importance to study here, because for the prelim sake, sometimes they may ask concepts related to like what are the elements that are normally found in the water pollution? What are the sources for the following pollutants? Or they may ask question on something more specific, like eutrophication. You may notice a common phenomena that we observe around, which is the result of such a pollution. So what is eutrophication? What type of problem is it causing to the environment? So eutrophication refers to the process where a water body becomes overly enriched with nutrients. So what is it? So sometimes water bodies, okay, like let's say they carry runoff from the agriculture area. So these nutrients accumulate in the water bodies. Then what happens? Those nutrients support the growth, especially some simple plants starting to grow. Like for example, you notice algal bloom, that green tinge that you see in the image here, that green coloration that you notice on the water is a sign that algae is able to grow. Why? Lot of nutrients, more than what is common to that area, more nutrients have been accumulated in that water through pollution, through water pollution. Or even planktons they call. Planktons refer to tiny microscopic plants, microscopic animals. Their number also increases. They bloom because of the excess amount of nutrients getting into the water, which is mostly coming from the, as I was mentioning to you already, agriculture or even from industry, it is coming into the water bodies. So once this algae dies, after the bloom, algae of course has to recycle, and once they die, it is eaten by decomposers like bacteria. And in the process, because it's an aerobic process, meaning it requires oxygen for the digestion and extraction of energy from it. In the process, as we have more alga that is present and dying, we will have more and more bacteria that will be present utilizing it and removing the oxygen from the water. So it depletes the oxygen. Normally they say small amounts of oxygen is present in them. And the small amounts of oxygen also gets depleted because of the activity of these microorganisms. Thereby what happens, if there is no oxygen, many other forms of aquatic life cannot survive, resulting in what is called dead zones. That is what is called eutrophication process. And sometimes in the news related to water pollution, we hear the terms BOD. So what is BOD? There's a high possibility of getting questions on these type of things. So BOD refers to biological or biochemical oxygen demand. So BOD is a short form of this, or biochemical or biological oxygen demand. It is connected to again eutrophication process that we're talking about, and also the other activities that are happening in any water, okay, which is contaminated with some pollutants that we were talking about. So BOD, what does BOD mean? BOD refers to the amount of oxygen consumed by bacteria and other microorganisms to decompose the organic matter. So what we talked about in eutrophication, bacteria utilizes oxygen. So the amount of oxygen required in a given volume is called biological oxygen demand. So how much oxygen is needed? So this is talking about how much pollution is present, how much organic matter is present in the water. So thereby it helps in measuring the quality of water. So indirectly, if you measure how much amount of oxygen is required, they take samples for days, 4 or 5 days approximately. They check the amount of oxygen that is required there, amount of oxygen that is depleting there. This is an indication that there is enough organic matter, enough pollutants in that, and microorganisms are using up oxygen to process it. So if BOD, biological oxygen demand, increases, it is a sign that water quality is very, very poor. Okay, and normally they say that BOD below 3 milligrams per liter is acceptable. Okay, if it is much more than that, what does it mean? We actually have more organic matter contaminating than water bodies. Mostly they said sewage that is probably contaminating this. Thereby, oxygen levels are drastically dropping, affecting the other life forms. Okay, so overall, these pollutants also can cause a lot of economic impact, because it is a huge burden for countries to provide purified water by purifying these type of water sources. It adds cost, and also government. We'll talk about in the next session that water rejuvenation program, like Ganga rejuvenation program or river rejuvenation program that we have in India. Okay, so also adds a lot of cost. And to deal with the health issues, on top of this, these type of waterborne diseases also cost a lot of money to the government to tackle them. And at the same time, if this is not maintained aesthetically very well, then tourism is also affected. Like that, there's a lot of economic impact due to water pollution. Next, these are just two instances I wanted to mention here, one from Andhra Pradesh, one from Telangana. In 2019, Andhra Pradesh Pollution Control Board, APCCB, had done a survey on several rivers. These rivers, Godavari, Krishna, Tungabhadra, Nagavalli, and Kundu. And in these rivers, when they tested samples, and they indicated that the quality of the water is so poor, it comes under category C, which is considered to be unfit for human consumption unless you treat it or disinfect it. So microorganism activity of microorganisms, BOD levels are so low, it is not considered to be consumable at the same drinkable in its current state. So that is what it's called. There are different categories. Category C talks about unfit unless you purify it. And especially the reason seems to be high level of coliform bacteria in the water, sign of lot of sewage that is being introduced into the water bodies. Okay, the main reason for showing up this coliform bacteria is domestic sewage joining the rivers. In many areas, they say in these rivers, Godavari, Krishna, etc., the sewage from the cities is being added. And Krishna seems to have the maximum amount of coliform bacteria. So for majority of the areas, they say that BOD levels are also not great, that indicating that there's a lot of organic contamination in there. So what government has decided? Government decided to set up sewage treatment plants where 100% treatment of these polluted areas have to be done. Otherwise, it will result in more issues. Similarly, a study that has been released in 2021 from Hyderabad, Indian Express talked about, they looked into 185 lakes around Hyderabad. Okay, and they found out only 10 out of these 185 lakes around Hyderabad, okay, have biological oxygen demand, BOD values that are within the prescribed limits. So otherwise they have too much of BOD demand, meaning there's too much of organic contamination, especially in the news here about Musi River. Lot of sewage. You don't know whether it is really a river or it's a nala or it's a sewage that is flowing around Hyderabad. Okay, so we frequently hear about the contamination levels in these rivers in Telugu states and as well as other states in India. indicating the severity of the problem. Okay, so this is brief idea about the what is river pollution, sorry, what is the water pollution and what are the sources for water pollution we talked about, and different examples I have provided with respect to that. Plus, we also talked about briefly the impact of water pollution on health and on environment, economic impact. And as part of environmental impact, we talked about eutrophication, and we also discussed about the biological oxygen demand or BOD. And I've given two instances of such a pollution happening in Andhra Pradesh as well as in Telangana. Okay, so in the next part, I'm going to come up with the methods and strategies that Indian government is using to control this pollution.